Okay, you can go.
Okay, so in here we have our application, we have a login page and also a sign up page. Just to show that this application works, I will go and create user. You can see it logs in automatically. And also when I log in through here, it also goes to the home page, as you can see. And then also just displays the username. Now, let's go take a look at how the code works as well. So starting in our front end, we can see the login and sign up. These are where we input all of our information and where it eventually gets sent back to the backend. Now, this is just classic React structuring and HTML, so I won't be going through all of it, just where it handles the information and then sends it back.
Yes.
So we have our input value, which contains our email and password, and it's the same with sign up, except we have one more field of the username. So inside of here, we then get our email and password that's just been entered and stored inside of the input value. Then here on handle submit, which is going to be triggered on several buttons. Oh, sorry, it's over here on submit. On submit, it will then store that input value and send it back through an Axios post request. Now, I have this API endpoints.login. This is just used inside of here, my config folder, where I can change all of different things without having to go inside of all the different modules and change it one for one. So over here, I have my API endpoints, which just contains the local host. So if I want to change this, I can easily. And then also sign up, login, and verify. In other words, the sign up page, login page, and also the home page. So just to take a look at it again, I have API endpoints.login, meaning it will go to API endpoints.login, meaning it's the localhost 4000/login. Now, if we go and take a look at our backend, we will land inside of the index.js, where we use cores to handle all of our front-end information or requests. We also have our Mongoose connection, which is connected through our env file by the MongoDB URL. If I just go and show it here, as you can see, here is our URL, and it is connected successfully. Then we have one of our routes, or where we define our routes inside of our auth route. Inside here, we have two separate parts of the application. Now, this is where me and Tom are going to split up. I will be explaining the sign up and login, while he will explain the verification. In other words, creation and the verification. Now, all of them are post requests. So upon the sign up or upon the login, it will then trigger the sign up and login methods from our auth controller. So let's go and take a look at the auth controller. Now over here, we have both our sign up and login methods, both being exported so we can use them inside of our auth route. Now these are also very simple. For example, inside of the sign up, we go and take the email, password, username, and the created at date from the request that's just been sent in through the post request and being stored inside the body. Then we will go and check the email that's been entered and check if the user, or if there is already a user inside of the database that has that email. If it is true, then it will say the user will bring this. If this is false, then it will just continue and create the user through a mongoose create command and has the email, password, username, and created at as its values. Now it'll also create a token using the create secret token method that's being imported through our secret token module. Okay, to take a look at that. we use JWT sign method by taking the ID of the user and then also our token key, which is inside of ENB, which is just a very simple word, which is super secret JWT key, and use it to encode that information inside of a token. And then also an expiration date, which is just 3 days. Now, once we have that token, we can then store it inside of a cookie inside of our browser so that when we eventually have to verify the token, then we can just take it out by using a request. And then, of course, we have our status responses, which is just on success and on error. Now, it's almost exactly the same as the login, but in the login, we only have two fields, which is email and password. And then we have a lot of validation. We first check if there isn't email or if there isn't a password. If any one of these are missing, it will say all fields are required. We also go and find the user email. If there isn't a user email or an email that's associated with the user, then it will say incorrect password or email. And then we also create an auth variable and compare that inside of if statement. By using the bcrypt.compare method, we go and check the password that entered and then also the user password that's being stored inside of our model database already encrypted. We will find out where the password is already encrypted when we go over the verification. Now, if the auth does fail, it will say incorrect password or email. And of course, we also create our token again because our application has two entry points. You can either go log in or you can go sign up, and both of the pages will take you back to the home page. Thus, you need a token on both of them. And also, the same as previously, we have a cookie, and then we also have our status responses. Now we can go back to the auth route and check our user verification.
Very cool.
Okay,
So
Tom.
yeah, so if you go to line 22 over there, that's just basically the post request being made to that endpoint, and it's gonna call the user verification method that we find in our auth middleware. So our auth middleware, this is where the user verification method is. So it's basically verifying and basically checking if the user is logged in before they can access the home page. So firstly, we access the token in line 19 by going in the cookies and accessing the token. Then we are in line 22 using an if statement to basically say that if the token doesn't exist, right, then we basically send back a JSON response saying that the status is set to false. In line 27, that whole method, the JWT.verify, is basically how we verify the token that we access. So we do that using our token key that is basically placed in our env folder. So yeah, we use that. And then in the if statement, it's basically saying that if the token is not valid, then we basically sends a JSON response saying that the status is set to false. Then we use the find by ID method in line 2032 to basically find the user in the database. So we do that using the user model, which is what I'm going to explain after here. So we find the user in the database. So if the user exists, then we basically just send a status response saying it's true and displaying the user's username. Then if that's not true, then it just sets the status to false. So if we can go back to our user model to explain the model there. So basically, this is the schema that's created. It's the structure of the data for the user's details. And you can see it takes an email in the form of a string, password, username, and the date that the user was created. So basically, we're basically using the email to basically find the user in the database. And if you scroll down, this is pre-save method. So basically, when Ulrich was explaining when the passwords were being compared, the encrypted password to the user's password, before the password is compared, it has to be encrypted. So that is done using bcrypt.hash, and it encrypts the password and saves that password to the database. Then you can go to the front end in home. So in line 47, that's basically the input. That's basically the post request being made to that endpoint to access the home page, basically, and for the whole verification to take place from there.
Perfect.
And that is
And
it
yeah,
for the program.
Yeah, that's it, exactly. Curveball. Can you figure out how to show me where the cookie is in Postman?
In post,
Try it out.
yeah,
I know it's stored in the browser, but I don't know if I can access it. It's maybe in the headers, actually.
So pay attention to the user interface, exactly.
I know
So
where it
just
is. Basically,
sign
you
up
send
or
the
login.
sign up first, and then
Okay.
sign up first.
Or
The sign
login.
up.
Yeah.
I could just do login.
There's your cookie.
Yeah, the cookie.
And you've
And with the
you've
token attached.
you've named the token. So obviously if you go in your code and you rename your tokens, you can play around with that and see how they all work. Cool. Well done, guys. I don't really have questions. You did exactly what was expected. You can end the recording.